Okay, everybody, I am going to try to keep this short, but this is really a very special unboxing scenes to me, for me, and I'm sure a lot of you will appreciate it as well. One is from Tarzan Group, the other is from High Desert Orchids and Kelly. Just coincidentally, both of these packages contain nothing but anglercoids, which means that they are from Madagascar, South Africa, tropical rainforests. I am not going to be too specific. You can see the boxes are pretty small. I am having my coffee today, and it is a very brisk 59 degrees outside, and feels like fall is here already. So I have a lot of moving to do, as you know, if you stay current, which I realize is difficult because I put out a lot of content because I do a lot of stuff and I have a lot of things to do with my orchids. But besides that, this is very special to me. Anyway, my mind draws a blank at the moment. What is in here? So let's just do this one first. This is from, no, I kind of know, but kind of don't. I think I do. Anyway, I am just wasting time. I am gonna open this one first. Again, a lot of advertisements. There are two. Okay, so this is Angraecum Eichlerianum, and of course I've always had this in my collection, but the latest succumbed to the cold when it just happened last. I'm not going to go over that. Maybe one of these days I will have free time and I'll put links on a lot of these videos to the videos that I'm referencing when I'm talking, but this is a blooming size plant. It is a vining type of an anglercoid. This is a species, of course. It can be terrestrial. It does like moisture at the roots and the aerial roots. So at some point it will either need to be mounted or given some sort of support with some sort of moss, pole, or there are those, there used to be, when Osmunda was there used to be like just pieces of Osmunda that you could put in there and it would keep the moisture in, and the roots would attach to it as they would in nature, because the aerial roots are very important, especially in the winter. In the summer, they generally automatically will get the humidity, they will get the moisture from you or from the rain. But in the winter, it's a little bit harder, and that keeping them green in the same way as a Vanda. I mean, these are Vanda type growing. So in the same way that you would keep the Vanda in the winter, keep those roots moisturized, not moisturized, but hydrated daily. That's the same principle here. If you grow Vandas, you know what I'm saying. You don't necessarily need to water because they don't want water or still, plant matter or whatever medium that you have them. They don't want that to be stale. That will rot the roots. They're aerial roots. They prefer quick drainage, but a little bit of organic or inorganic, something for support that will sustain the aerial roots and give them something to attach to and get moisture from, in addition to what they get in the buoyant environment that is around them, with air movement that you give them, and photosynthesis. Anyway, also that involves the difference in temperature between day and night, which is very important. So while I was saying, not to get off topic, that it's very brisk outside, the temperatures in the day, although not right now, the temperatures are still going to be up into the 70s, perhaps low 80s, but mostly in the 70s. But at night, it will drop to the 40s, which plants like, but they don't want it to be not in the 40s when they drop. They like 10 to 15 degree temperature change from day to night, I would say, at all times. Not so much in the winter, but I'm rambling on, but you get my point. So this is Ichlorianum. These bloom from the axils, and they can rebloom from the same as long as they get, as long as they stay green, and they do produce kikis or new plantlets from the base that can be pinched off. This is probably a plantlet. Mature plants are about, foot and a half tall, but as I said, this is a blooming sized plant. I am going to take it out of this. I might most likely leave it with this, but attach it or put it in something else. And I haven't figured that out yet. I do know, but I will tell you that later. I don't want to waste time right now. So I'm just going to put that back in. And I will put pictures of that up, of my prior blooms. That is one of my favorite. I love that. That is in the same family as Vitaminsae, infundibulare. And I'm talking like I was going to say Pavarotti. Or Sophia Loren. The young Sophia Loren. Vitaminsae, infundibulare. Okay, so I see fleshy roots. This is on a mount, obviously. Somewhat droopy, but if you know angricoids, then you already get a sense of what it is, and I will tell you why I say that. It's because if you look closely, you can see the leaves are like a wave. And there's only a couple of angricoids that are like that. Now, there are some Arangus, and there are Urianges, which technically used to be in the same genus. Look at that nice fat root. That's what I mean. You can see that big fat root tip in comparison to the older roots, means that it is entering another newer, healthier phase of growth. When the roots suddenly burst out, bigger, fleshier. So that means generally when roots are actively growing, that means that that means that their plant is also actively growing. So you still need to provide moisture as you would with all of your mounted plants, but a little bit less in the fall. But this is, as I said, a Uriangus, but it's Uricone botticellianum, which is the species that used to be Uriangus. And so that's crossed with Kochkiana, Uriangus kochkiana, which is a bird of flight. Uricone botticellianum is a very miniature, wavy leaf. Kochkiana might have some waves as well, but they do have the little uneven tip at the leaf. Anywho, they may also have wavy leaves, but very similar somewhat. Although Uricone botticellianum is a smallish flower that is big for the size of the plant, often hidden underneath on the underside of the plant. Very short spike, fragrant, night fragrant. Okay, that is that one, and that is a hybrid. White, of course, flower. I think it's bird of flight. Looks like it has wings and a tail because of this bird. Okay, so those are two Angricoids that are choice. Well, Ectoranum you can find around a lot of places if you know. And eBay has a few spots, and this is very rare, I would say. Used to be a lot more availability of this hybrid, but those companies have either disappeared or the stock has been depleted. Okay, so here's the next one, and this is Tarzan Group, which is import group. I believe they're out of Poland, I think, but they import as equigeneridas, miniatures, often mounted plants that are rare, often cooler, more finicky type, difficult growing plants, or just rare. Not every rare plant is difficult. I don't want to put it like that, but just hard to get plants that are desirable, I would say, but mostly miniature mounted. So that's what this is, despite the size of the box. And trying to get this out without making any noise, because I know that this unwrapping is distracting in the video. Okay, and here is the tag right there. And if you've been watching me long, you know that I am obsessed. I have a history with this plant, and when I've had it, it has grown well. But there does become a time when you have to repot. Most of the time you do, especially if they're in a pot. So a lot of times when they come mounted, if they're healthy when they come, a lot of times you can leave them on that mount, or you can stick that mount superimposed sort of and strapped onto a larger mount, and the roots will eventually attach to the larger mount, and then you can either just let it go, it'll dissolve, but it will be attached to the newer, fresher mount. But some of these vining Angricoids, they resent being repotted and their roots disturbed in general, especially when they are bloom size. So you really have to be gentle and kind of have some care and experience in just repotting these type of plants, because the roots vary from plant to plant. As you saw, this has very thick, fleshy roots, and this is more of a finer root. And you will see the difference in this one. And that all makes a difference when you go to remount or repot orchids like these, because you cannot treat them all under one umbrella. procedure or formula. You have to really, everything is individualized to the particular plant. You can use others as a guide and build on that to build confidence in your experience. And I feel like I'm there, but it has been a while. It's taken me a while. I've spent a lot of money, and to the point where I said I would never buy them again. But at this point, I know that I am not going to kill these plants. So I have more confidence, if that makes any sense. Okay, so I'm unwrapping these subulatum. And I love it so much. I love it. You can see how it's kind of tangled. And let me look. It would just be so precious if there would be a spent bloom or something. But I'll put a picture. But this is very healthy. It looks like it is already branching out. The thing about this plant that I really like is it's unless you know the plant and its habits, it's hard to tell when it is going to bloom or if it's in bud, because it is such a tiny plant. And so it often will surprise you with a bloom or buds if you know where to look. But that is such a treat to suddenly just come out unexpectedly and see white flowers. Now, if you know the stitching, similar to that, where it is the same principle, it is a vining vanda growth type. Vandas can grow kikis in between the axils, which you can just, once they get roots, you can twist off. I'm just looking, this looks like a flower bud, but no, at the tip there. But anyhow, these like constant moisture at the roots. These are a more terrestrial, although it is a epiphytic plant. It likes more moisture at the roots, so it needs to be potted in something that is a more moisture retentive. They will get moisture year round, although a little bit lessening, but not completely dried out, because they do bloom any time of the year, but they bloom mostly in the fall throughout spring. Periodically, just sporadically, they will just put out buds and blooms over a long period of time. And the blooms are very small, as I said, and I don't think there's a fragrance, but in mass, it's a nice sight. Even just one, because you will notice it. You can't miss it, the white in the screen. High humidity, of course. High humidity, as with all Anglercoids, 80%. And I would say a little bit less in the winter, but still 70. They have to have 70 or else they will start to shrivel, and you want to keep them from doing that. Okay? Again, this is Anglicum subulatum. And wow, there's the flower. So folks, sorry this was such a long video, but I think it was a very nice video, because to me, these are choice bucket list plants. Bucket flower, bucket list plants. Must for all Anglercoids. If you can find these three, you will be rewarded, and you will agree. Anyhow, thanks for watching. It's time for me to have some coffee. And enjoy your orchids.